welcome to Simpler Bible, a daily journey to biblical understanding. When we reflect on the book of Daniel, it's a short book, relatively speaking, to things like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, but the first 6 chapters of Daniel cover a span of 70 years. And so the first chapter of Daniel is in the first year of that 70 years, and chapter 6 of Daniel is 70 years later. And so a lot of time is compressed into those 6 chapters. But Daniel 9, 10, 11, and 12, so really 7 through 12, if you need to pay attention to the first line of those kind of prophecies, because they don't necessarily occur in order. The last 6 chapters of Daniel don't occur in the correct order. So like one of them will tell you in the 5th year that Belshazzar was king, or in the last year of Belshazzar was king, which is before chapter 6. And so just pay attention to those details, those dates. Daniel chapter 9, this is a prayer of Daniel. This is the same year of the lion's den that we left off with yesterday. So Daniel chapter 9, verse 1. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, by descendant a Mede, who was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, perceived in the books the number of years according to the word of the Lord to Jeremiah the prophet. So isn't this interesting that Daniel is studying the prophet Jeremiah to figure out how long the people are going to be in captivity. And so you know where he might have done that, and this is really interesting, but probably Jeremiah 29, 10 through 11. Well, remember that Jeremiah 29 is a letter that Jeremiah wrote to the exiles in Babylon after they had already been there for about 12 or 13 years. After Daniel had already been in Babylon for 12 or 13 years, Jeremiah sends this letter. He says, you're going to be there for a total of 70 years, and then God will bring you back. So when it says that Daniel is studying the writings of Jeremiah, the word of the Lord that came by Jeremiah the prophet, it's incredibly likely that he is studying maybe not the book as a whole, maybe so, but it's incredibly possible that he's studying this letter that was sent to the captives in Babylon, because it does say in Jeremiah 29 that they'll be there for 70 years. So he says, 70 years must pass at the end of the destruction of Jerusalem. And he says, then I turned my face to the Lord God, seeking him by prayer and pleas for mercy with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. I prayed to the Lord my God and made confession, O Lord, the great and the awesome God, who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him and keep his covenant. We have sinned and we have done wrong. We have acted wickedly and rebelled, turning aside from your commandments and your rules. We have not listened to your servants, the prophets, who spoke in your name, to our king, our princes, our fathers, and to all the people of the land. To you, O Lord, belongs righteousness, but to us open shame, as it is this day. To the tribe of Judah, to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, to all of Israel, those who are near and those who are far away, in all the lands to which you have driven them, because of the treachery they have committed. He says, to the Lord belongs mercy and forgiveness, for we have rebelled against him and have not obeyed the voice of the Lord our God by walking in his laws, which he set before us by his servants, the prophets. All of Israel has transgressed, he says. And so Daniel, I was about to say Psalm, Daniel 9 is Daniel just kind of recognizing, like, look, we've been here for 70 years. I've been studying Jeremiah. We're supposed to be at the end of this now. So God, our care is on you. We're looking at you. And it says this, as it is written in the law of Moses, all this calamity has come upon us, yet we have not entreated the favor of the Lord. So think here like Deuteronomy 27 and 28. Here's what's going to happen if you disobey God. Here's the blessings. Here's the curses. And he says, all this has happened to us and we still haven't repented and turned to the Lord. And he goes, so we haven't done this. We haven't turned from our iniquities and gained insight by your truth. Therefore, God has kept us ready for the calamity and has brought it upon us. The Lord our God is righteous in all his works and all that he has done, and we have not obeyed his voice. And he says down here in verse 16, Jerusalem and your people have become a byword, a curse among all those who are around us. Now therefore, O Lord our God, listen to the prayer of your servant and to his prayers for mercy, his pleas for mercy. And for your own sake, we've seen that theme a couple of times, O Lord, make your face to shine upon your sanctuary, which is desolate. O my God, incline your ear and hear, open your eyes and see our desolation for the city that is called by your name. For we do not present our pleas before you because of our righteousness, but because of your great mercy. That might make you think of Deuteronomy 7 or Deuteronomy 9, where God said, I'm not taking you into the promised land because you're righteous, but because of the promise that I made to your fathers. And I love this verse 19. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, pay attention. O Lord, act. Delay not for your own sake, oh my God, because your city and your people are called by your name. So while he's still speaking, the angel Gabriel shows up and begins to speak to him and tells him at the very beginning of your prayer, I was sent to give you this message. Here's what's going to happen. And he's beginning to tell him kind of about the last days. Now, Daniel's still in Babylon, he's still ruling, and Daniel 10 tells us in the third year of Cyrus, the king of Persia, a word was revealed to Daniel, whose name had been called Belteshazzar. And the word was true, and it was a great conflict, and he understood the words and had understanding of the vision. In those days, he was mourning for 3 weeks. Daniel says, I was mourning for 3 weeks. I ate no delicacies, no meat or wine entered my mouth. And on the 24th day, so for 3 weeks, he's not washing himself with oils. For 3 weeks, he's fasting, and he's praying for 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the first month, he was standing by the bank. He was waiting for an answer from the Lord. A couple of things that are really interesting here. One, he's grieving and mourning for the sins of the people of God for 3 weeks, and he doesn't eat meat or wine. Now, I told you 2 days ago when we were in Daniel 1 that Daniel forsook eating the meat and the wine that the king was providing for him, and he only ate vegetables. And so some people are like, oh, look at Daniel. He only ate vegetables. Right. At that time, he only ate vegetables. He clearly by now, I mean, the dude's 90, right? Close to 90. The dude's like, I want some wine and I want some meat. He's eating wine and meat, and now he's not eating the wine and the meat because he's fasting and he's seeking the Lord. And so people kind of make this deal of Daniel, and they're like, man, and he ate vegetables his whole life. No, he didn't. He ate vegetables in those first days to separate himself from the other people that the king had taken into captivity. And he prays for 3 weeks, and he doesn't get an answer. Finally, he gets an answer, and it says this. Listen, this is verse 11, and this is super interesting, and I'm not smart enough to tell you what it means. Go Google it, but be careful who you read, because there's a lot of stuff out there. So it says this, verse 11, 10, 11. Daniel, so this is the answer of the angel who came to him. Daniel, man greatly loved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright, for now I have been sent to you. And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood up. And he said, fear not, Daniel. From the very first day you set your heart to understand and humble yourself before God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me for 21 days, but Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I was left there with the kings of Persia. So here's what he says. Daniel has this vision, and this angel comes to him and he says, look, the moment you started praying, I was sent with an answer to you, but it took 3 weeks. Daniel's fasting and praying for 3 weeks. He goes, it took me 3 weeks to get here because I was in conflict. I was at war with the prince of Persia. And so some sort of spiritual battle happening, and that's what delayed God giving his answer to Daniel. And he said, I have come to tell you what's going to happen in the latter days. And so he's coming to give him a vision of these end days and all the kings that are going to arise and all the people of God who are going to fall. They're going to be put to death, and how these wicked kings are going to come to power. And then ultimately, God's going to make everything new. So jump down to chapter 12 with me. Let me show you this. He's hearing this interpretation, and it says, at that time shall arise Michael, the great prince, who has charge of all God's people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as has never been seen since there was a nation till that time. But at that time your people will be delivered, everyone whose name is found written in the book of life. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. That makes me think of John 5. I can't remember the exact verse off the top of my head. It feels late. It feels like it's in the 30s of John 5, but don't hold me to that. Where it talks about there will be a resurrection of both the righteous and the wicked, the righteous to life and the wicked to death. And so Daniel, the book of Daniel, is already highlighting that for us. And those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the sky above, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal up this book until the time of the end. Many will run to and fro, and knowledge will increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, 2 others stood on this bank of the stream and on that bank of the stream. And someone said to the man clothed in linen, how long shall it be till the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the stream. He raised his right hand and his left hand towards heaven, and he swore by him who lives forever that it would be a time and times and half a time. So 3.5 times. And what we saw earlier in the book of Daniel was that is equivalent to years, so 3.5 years. Daniel says, I heard, but I did not understand. And I said, Lord, what will the outcome of these things be? And look at 9 and 10. Go your way, Daniel, for the words are shut up and sealed until the time of the end. Many will purify themselves and make themselves white and be refined, but the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will even understand, but those who are wise will understand. And from that time that the regular burnt offering is taken away and the abomination that makes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. All right, a couple of things here. 1,290 days. The abomination of desolation is who we frequently refer to as the Antichrist. And we see some of this stuff later in the Bible, and it says from the time that the burnt offerings were taken away, there's 1,290 days. And so that's 43 months, basically. And it's because if you think about it like, and I can't spell months apparently, and if you think about it, the Hebrew calendar at this point was basically 30-day months. And so you divide that in there and you get about 43 months. So blessed is he who waits and arrives to the 1,335 days. So there will be an additional 45 days that are going to be very hard. And then he says, but you, Daniel, go your way till the end, and you will rest, and then you will stand in your allotted place at the end of days. So he says, Daniel, you don't worry about this. This is for the last days. Go your way. You're going to rest. You're going to die. You're going to rest. And then in the latter days, you will stand in your place, your appointed place at the end of days. And so speaking to Daniel of his death and of his future resurrection at the latter days when all these things come to conclusion. I'm just going to tell you, I have a lot of thoughts on Daniel 7 through 12. I skipped Daniel 7 for now. We will come back to Daniel 7 when we hit Revelation. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but Daniel 7 almost perfectly lines up with Revelation 19 and 20. And so I'm saving Daniel 7 for now. We'll come back to that. But I don't know what all the prophecies mean. God has not given me the gift that Daniel had to interpret prophecies and dreams. I have some thoughts on it. And at this point, that's as much as I can tell you, that Daniel was seeing a vision of the latter days and of what was going to take place. But you know what? Our confidence is in God. And so however it plays out, we trust God. And like Daniel, we will one day go to our rest, and then we will one day be raised to stand in our appointed place in the presence of God. And so that is going to wrap it up for us for the book of Daniel. Tomorrow, we're going to be in Micah, chapters 1 through 4. I look forward to sharing Micah with you over the next couple of days. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for journeying with us today at Simpler Bible through another section of Scripture where we come to know and understand God a little bit better. Look, if you're brand new to Simpler Bible, we have all sorts of resources available for you. Go to our website, simplerbible.com, and there you can find these videos, you can find our podcast, you can find links to our social media, and you can even find a blog post with additional scriptures if you want to go into a little bit more study than we had time to cover in this podcast and video today. We hope that this tool will be exactly that for you, a tool. Not something that replaces your daily walk with God, but something that enhances your daily walk with God and helps you to know and enjoy Him more. Thank you so much for being part of this, and we'll see you again tomorrow.